I released a couple of videos on design in the last 8 weeks, and in one of the videos I mentioned that it is possible to learn the basics of design, covering what you'd typically learn in 4 years of a design program in approximately 3 to 6 months. I stated that college is filled with so much unnecessary filler, and that the typical college student is often ill prepared for study, emotionally immature, and preoccupied with so much meaningless bullshit that they can barely show up on time. And by contrast, a mature, self motivated adult could learn everything required for a design program in approximately 3 months. I received numerous comments from the video asking specifically how and for a specific plan. Now, in typical Elliott fashion, the answer that I'm going to give you is probably not what you're anticipating. I will provide a clear plan with specific instructions and steps. This diagram is a big part of my process. Now, many of you are looking for a list of books or specific courses to take, seeking a checklist to follow. Unfortunately, true learning is far more nuanced than that. In order to learn design fundamentals in 3 months, checklists of courses will not get the job done. Frankly, that kind of thinking is the problem. So let's break it down. The first and most important phase is to accept personal responsibility for your situation and for your learning. No one can do this for you. You have to do this for you. Now, to fully explain this, I want to talk to you about two books. When I was 18, I was home from my freshman year in college, spending time with a good friend of mine, Kurt Bubness. He was attending University of Texas at Austin on a diving scholarship, working to qualify for the U.S. Olympic diving team. Now, oddly enough, I found this video from 1988 of the NCAA D1 championships. Let's take a quick look.
The equalizer is the impact, because you hit it about 30 miles an hour.
Kurt Bubness of Texas, 8th going into the final round.
So when I said goodbye to Kurt for the summer, he handed me a book saying that his diving coach had given it to everyone on the team. Kurt said that the book had changed his life and that maybe it could help me. I thanked him and put the book on the floor where it stayed for almost a year. Now, at the end of my sophomore year, as I returned home for the summer, I found the book in the same spot and out of curiosity started to read it. The book was Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. The central idea of psycho-cybernetics is that our self-perception significantly influences our behavior and reactions to life's events. You will act like the sort of person you conceive yourself to be. By using our imagination to visualize positive outcomes, we can reconstruct our self-image. We can change our behavior and improve our lives. The book suggests people can harness the power of visualization to enhance performance and well-being, demonstrating that altering our mental picture of ourselves can lead to profound changes in our reality. The book represented a key moment for me in the realization that I need not be a victim, subject to others' opinion of me, that through effort, I can reconstruct who I am and even who I was. The second book that we need to discuss is the book Your Erroneous Zones. There was a passage in the book that struck me like a bolt of lightning. The passage presents a syllogism. Major premise: I can control my thoughts. Minor premise: my feelings come from my thoughts. Conclusion: I can control my feelings. In the book, Dyer describes erroneous zones as areas of our lives dominated by irrational beliefs and negative thinking patterns that cause emotional distress and impede personal growth. These zones include behaviors like guilt, worry, procrastination, and dependency on others for validation. Now, a key theme in the book is the importance of taking full responsibility for one's own happiness. Dyer emphasizes that individuals have the power to control their thoughts, feelings, and actions, and that by doing so, they can liberate themselves from self-imposed limitations. And here we are at the major point of phase one of the process. I can liberate myself from self-imposed limitations. The second step in the process is to learn to listen. The ability to listen is tied to high IQ. Most often, answers come from the outside. We're prisoners to the limitations of our own ideas and our own perceptions, and to our own perspectives. These delineate the limits of our own understanding. So when we're learning, we're attempting to reach beyond the limitations of our understanding. To listen is to put aside those things that we think we know, and to entertain the possibility that the truth is possessed by others. I can't underscore this enough. Listening is a skill, and that skill is developed over time. It is something to be worked on. It doesn't happen naturally. Now, phase three is to sift. So what is the goal of our listening? What are we actually listening for? Well, when trying to learn, we're attempting to sift through the available information for ideas that we know we don't understand. Unfortunately, it's a cliche, but we can think of that. We can think of what we're looking for as an aha moment. We pay close attention. In phase four of the process, we act. Here we move from thinking to action. We act upon raised awareness. In phase five, we establish a feedback loop to implement the new idea over time, consistently, to develop a practice that implements the new idea. We use discipline to actually practice, to work on the idea over time. And finally, a largely overlooked component of learning in this equation is to have enough self-awareness to look at the 5 phases of learning, to try to identify our personal weaknesses. Brutal honesty and introspection is the order of the day. Which of the 5 phases do we routinely fail to implement? In which phase of the learning process do I lack the self-discipline and the interpersonal responsibility to implement? Then, work at getting better at that specific phase. So how do we tie this all together in a simple 3-month plan? A checklist of sorts. Where are my easy answers? The basics of design are frighteningly easy to learn with the right ethos. Domestika is an amazing resource. Now, I have zero affiliation with Domestika, but as an example, here are 2 of the first courses that appear for the search category design on their site. Note the ridiculously low price. In my experience, Domestika's courses are the best online training I've seen. Those 2 courses were 99 cents a piece. So take 3 months and apply the learning method and ethos that I've outlined. Overlay the method that I outlined here with basic online instruction. But listen very carefully to me. You have the power to control your thoughts, feelings, and actions. Ultimately, you are responsible